Hey everybody, Console Collector here. Welcome back to another episode of Games to Get. On today's episode, we take a look at games to get for the PlayStation 1. We're going to kick it off with a really obscure game. A game that's actually not even released in North America. I'm talking about Pepsi Man. Yes, Pepsi Man, the Pepsi Man. What is this? Well, it's a game featuring this Pepsi Man mascot. It's kind of weird because all the cutscenes in this game are in English, but it's a Japanese game. I remember the first time I played this, everyone was speaking English, and the main character guy there on the cutscenes, he's completely English. It looks like it's filmed in America. I don't understand why it was Japanese exclusive. The concept of this game is you're basically running down the street. You can't basically stop. You gotta slide under things, jump over things, run through people's houses, even getting a garbage can on your Pepsi Man, and the controls are reversed. It's just such a really weird game. But saying that, it's actually kind of a fun game, and it's a little bit addicting. It's one of the better licensed tie-in, I guess, product placement games I've ever played. You know, I played like Chester Cheetah games and like that Burger King game and even the 7-Up game, and I think Pepsi Man's one of the better ones, honestly. This game, however, is getting pretty expensive as people figure out it's a pretty good game. It is a Japanese exclusive, like I mentioned before, so you have to import it, and you have to have a Japanese PS1 or a modded PS1 to play it. If you have a way to do that, I still think you should get it because it's fun, it's unique, and I've had some friends play this, and they're just like confused, like, what is this game? So I think Pepsi Man is a game to get for the PlayStation 1. If you thought Pepsi Man was kind of weird, check out this game. This is called Bomberman Fantasy Race. What is this? Well, obviously it's Bomberman, but it's not a traditional Bomberman game. This is actually a Bomberman racing game. Yeah, a racing game. Who wanted this? I know I didn't. But after picking it up and playing it, I was like, this is actually pretty interesting. One notable thing is it's actually published by Atlas here. Yeah, Atlas did this Bomberman game. Wacky animal racing, it says on the front here. That is 100% true. This is a wacky, weird game. It's essentially just a Bomberman clone of Mario Kart. So instead of karts and Mario, you have Bomberman racing these like animals. These animals can speed up, they can get tired and slow down. You get power-ups like the power bomb, you can get the glove, the roller skate. So traditional Bomberman power-ups, but in a racing game. This game is one of those games that I found, you know, you can just play for a few rounds and turn it off. It's definitely kind of hard. It's more of just one of those gimmicky games. You're like, hey, you ever played Bomberman racing game? People are like, no. Well, this is what this is good for. Just kind of a quick little fun laugh. Not anything too serious. So, Bomberman Fantasy Race is actually a fairly uncommon game. It has been going up in price. I feel like now is a good time to get it before people catch on even further. Because obscure games like this that have popular characters in outside of their genre kind of games definitely end up being very valuable. So, Bomberman Fantasy Race for the PS1 is a game to get. Up next, I have a game that's really kind of unique. I haven't played anything quite like it. It's fairly obscure. It's called Courier Crisis. Now, if you're not sure what is going on here on the cover, I know in like some busy cities, you can get like bike couriers, and they basically just hotshot packages downtown from one business to another. Really short trips that are a little quicker on bicycle than automobiles. Anyway, in this game, that's what you do. It's kind of a crazy taxi ripoff, except you pick up packages and deliver them instead of people. But if you look closely, this courier is punching this guy out. What kind of game is this? Well, you actually get to assault civilians while you're delivering packages. Yeah, it's weird. Who wanted this? A courier game where you can beat the crap out of civilians? I don't know, but it's actually pretty unique. It can be fun. It's good for a good quick laugh. Is it a good game though? Honestly, it's not. The controls are horrendous. But that's the thing about this series on Games to Get. I want to just feature games that aren't only good, but games that I feel like are obscure or just very unique or even becoming rare. This game I feel like may go up in price because it is so obscure and it's so different. There's nothing quite like it. But again, it's not really a good game. So this game I think is good for a quick laugh. Like, when I was playing this for the first time when I got it, and just to capture the footage here, it was fun. It was fine for a little bit. I had some good laughs. But honestly, after like 15 minutes, I was like, all right, I'm done with this game. So Courier Crisis on the PS1, I think, is a game to get, but not because it's good, just because it's unique. And I feel like it's going to be pretty rare. I have another obscure kind of game here to talk about. This is Sheep. Yep, just Sheep. Looking at the cover here, you have a sheep and a UFO. I remember when I first saw this, I'm like, what is this game? I had no idea. Well, it turns out it's kind of like you're a prairie dog and you're trying to get sheep together and navigate them into safety. It's a really simple concept of a game, and it can be pretty fun and challenging at times. There's a few different characters you can pick from. I like picking this brown dog, and you basically round up the sheep and try to navigate them to safety. Yeah, again, really simple concept, but some of the later levels, they get pretty challenging. It's in the way you can kind of take out the sheep, it can be entertaining. You can force them into like a shredder, or you can get them electrocuted, or you can roast them, or get their wool just cut off. Like, that part is pretty fun on its own. So you don't always have to play by the rules and save the sheep. You can just have some entertainment by getting them taken out in hilarious fashions. But you kind of feel bad because they're cute. So yeah, Sheep is just such a really unique and odd, one of a kind, I feel like, game for the PS1. It kind of reminds me of like Lemmings, maybe a little bit like Pikmin, but unique in its own little kind of way there. So I think Sheep is a game to get for the PS1. I do want to mention though, this game is dirt cheap right now, like absolutely dirt cheap. And you can't go wrong with a cheap game that's fun and unique. So Sheep on PS1, a game to get. Up next, Punky Skunk. Now, if you're a long-time viewer on this channel, you're probably thinking, console collector, what? Punky Skunk again? Yes, I'm guilty. I talk about Punky Skunk maybe a little bit too much on this channel. It's a game I beat in 2021, and it's just a really fun game. It's a platformer, and you get all sorts of like cool power-ups. There's like paragliders, there's like pogo sticks, just so many cool, unique things. It kind of reminds me of the Mickey Mouse games on the Super Nintendo, where you can get those different costumes and different powers. This game actually looks like a Super Nintendo game. When I play it, I forget I'm playing a PS1 game. This definitely could have been a 16-bit era video game, on the Genesis or the Super Nintendo. One other cool thing about this, you can actually defeat enemies with your stink. Yep, just spray a little bit of that skunky stinkiness and take out enemies. I wanted to feature Punky Skunk because it's not a game that people really talk about, and I feel like it's kind of a hidden gem. I noticed this game has slowly been climbing in price, but it's just a ton of fun. Every time I play this game, it's fun, and that's what video games are about, right? Is having fun. So I think Punky Skunk on the PS1 is a great platforming game that you should really get. Now we have Trick-in Snowboarder. Now hold on. Don't judge me too hard here. Why am I featuring a generic snowboarding game on games to get? There's a reason. First of all, I have never heard anyone talking about this game. There's so many different PS1 snowboarding games you can get, like Cool Boarders, right? Or even on other consoles, you had like 1080 on the N64, stuff like that. But something about Trick-in Snowboarder. Let me just show you here. The thing that really stands out to me is this includes hidden Capcom characters. Yeah, so you can play as Leon from Resident Evil, or Claire from Resident Evil, or the zombie cop. Yeah, that's weird, right? Oh, it is, especially playing as that zombie cop. The zombie cop, it's like, wow, like, who did this? Why is this a thing? I can understand Claire and Leon, but the zombie cop, it's actually so silly that I love it. It's awesome. What other games can you play as a zombie police officer? Yeah, well, you can do it on Trick and Snowboarder. This is a really cheap game too. And like I mentioned before, no one ever talks about it. Does anyone even know that you could play these characters? You have to unlock them. They're not there from the start. However, I know there's a little button sequence you can push in on the title screen and you can unlock them right away, which I did. I wanted to feature this game because of that kind of little secret character thing, but honestly, this is not a very good game. I would play Cool Borders or 1080 over this any day. I found this game to have some like pretty lousy controls, and I had a lot of trouble doing tricks in it, but maybe it's because I'm just bad at it. I don't know. You know, I'm no pro gamer. When I play games, I want to have fun, and I just want to try out these super cool characters. So that's why I'm featuring Trick and Snowboarder on Games to Get for the PS1, mainly because it has those Resident Evil hidden characters. Maybe give it some try and you'll be better at the snowboarding than I am. And, you know, watching this clip here, you can see I'm like bumping into stuff and doing some lousy tricks. Yeah, I'm just bad at it, but has some really cool characters. So Trick and Snowboarder is a game to get for the PS1. Let's talk about Space Jam on the PS1. I love this game. Not because it's overly good, it's just I really like Space Jam. It was one of my favorite childhood movies, and you get to play as the Monstars. I know this game kind of feels like the Super Nintendo Looney Tunes B-Ball game, but it's way more than that. It really is like playing the movie. I never had this when the movie was out back in the day. I actually didn't have a PS1, but I would have loved this as a kid. It's just so fun. Playing it now, in retrospect, you know, it was probably good for the time. It gets a little repetitive and boring, honestly, now. But it's just really cool to play with the different Monstars. And you can play as a Toon Squad as well, with a variety of different characters. It's not overly expensive, even despite the new Space Jam coming out, kind of building hype back up for Space Jam. But if you're a fan of Space Jam, I think this is definitely a game to get. Simply for the nostalgia, and it's kind of nice just playing characters from the movie. I do want to quickly mention, though, this game also did come out on the Sega Saturn. So if you have a Saturn and for some reason you want to get it on there, give it a try. I have both, and they're both pretty decent. So Space Jam, it's basketball, it's a movie tie-in, it's decent. I think it's a game to get for the PS1. Up next, we're going to talk about this little Buster Bros collection. Now, Buster Bros is a unique kind of puzzle action game that is known as Pang or Super Pang in other regions, but here in North America, it's known as Buster Bros or Super Buster Bros. This game here is a collection of Buster Buddies, Super Buster Bros, and Buster Bros. I personally like Super Buster Bros the best. The concept of this game is there's these balloons and balls that fall from the sky, and you just pop them. Yeah, that's it. It sounds really simple, and it is, but it's an addictive puzzle action game. You know, if you say to your friends, hey, you want to come over and play Buster Bros? I'm like, get out of here. But really, once you try it, and you'll see, it is just fun. It's an addicting, fun puzzle game. It gets really challenging. You know, I've gotten pretty far in this game before. I didn't do too hot while recording this footage. I'm a little bit rusty, but I have gotten really far. And one thing about this game is you see those big balls coming down? Guess what? They're not really a threat. It's those tiny little buggers. Those ones will just overwhelm you instantly, and pow, you're defeated. I don't know what makes this game so addictive, but it is. So I think you should give this one a try because it's just simple fun, and you know, if you play for 10 minutes, you're satisfied. It's not really too in-depth. It really is just a simple concept. So that is why I think a Buster Bros collection for the PS1 is a game to get. Next up, we have a really weird game. Now hear me out. Don't click off as soon as you see it. Just trust me, this game is worth talking about. That is Mort the Chicken. Yep, Mort the Chicken. You're probably thinking, console collector, what are you doing to us? Why are you featuring this weird looking game? Well, the reason why I want to feature it is kind of the same reason as some other games in this list. It's unique. It's a game nobody ever talks about, but I stumbled across it and I played it, and it's actually not horrible. In Mort the Chicken, you play as this really funny chicken, and you get power-ups like extending your neck super long, or you can get like a little spring to bounce super high. The goal of it is you're in a little 3D sandbox, and you can pick up little corn kernels and eat them. You can defeat blocks and enemies with smacking your head at them, and you collect little chickies, stars, and some coins. And you can hatch open these eggs, and once you have all the chickies in your little group following you, you take them back to a portal, and then you rescue them. It really is just a strange PS1 3D sandbox kind of game, but it's different. And again, in this series, I just want to feature games that are different, and I think you should try. Is this a good game? No, it's really not. The camera is awful. It's really janky and kind of hard to see at times, but it's unique. So if you have a chance to pick up Mort the Chicken for a half decent price, just try it out. It's one of those games that you'll play for a few minutes, probably have a good laugh, and revisit once in a while there. But it's definitely nothing you're gonna, sink 20, 30, 40 hours into it like an RPG. Plus, it's fun to say Mort the Chicken. So, Mort the Chicken, the game to get for the PS1. Next game, Fighting Force. This is a 3D beat-em-up. I really like beat-em-ups. They're just a lot of fun. It's some of those like mindless beat-em-up games that are the most fun. You just go in, beat up a few enemies, play some levels, and you're done. Turn it off. Move on with life. I wanted to feature Fighting Force because it really kind of reminded me of Streets of Rage, actually. The problem with this game, though, is the camera is terrible. And, the controls aren't the greatest. I feel like it was great for its time, but, going back to it's a little tough. But it's a fun, decent beat-em-up. There's actually a sequel. I haven't played that yet. But for what I did play of Fighting Force, I think this is a good game to get because it's still fairly cheap and it's multiplayer. And you just run around and beat enemies up. So, yeah, if you want a half-decent beat-em-up for the PS1, I think Fighting Force is a game to get. Next up, I got a couple of fighting games I want to feature. First off, I want to feature Mortal Kombat Trilogy. This is the definitive Mortal Kombat game, in my opinion. It's got all of the characters from Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, and Ultimate in it. It really is the ultimate package. If you're an old school Mortal Kombat fan like myself, this is definitely a game to get because just look at the character roster on there. Yeah, it's just fantastic. It's got the classics like Raiden. It's got some obscure guys like Baraka, which is one of my favorites. You got Jade, Shiva. You got all the bosses, Goro, Kintaro. It's just awesome. Such a great game. Now, I wanted to feature Mortal Kombat Trilogy over some other ones because it's the PlayStation edition. And this game, when I looked up the price actually recently, I was like, what? Why is this game so expensive? I don't know why. Maybe I do because it's so awesome. But I remember getting this game for 20 bucks and nobody cared about it. I don't know if there's just a big resurgence in Mortal Kombat's popularity for the old school Mortal Kombats. But yeah, I think this is just the best old school Mortal Kombat game, hands down. It's also available on the N64, but I personally find the PlayStation 1 version just is a lot better. It runs better, it looks better, the sound is really good on it. My only complaint with this one is it does have some really slow loading times. So, if you like old school Mortal Kombat, I think Mortal Kombat Trilogy on the PlayStation 1 is a game to get. Here's another fighting game. This game is very, very obscure and rare. This is called Air Gaze. Some of you that are fans of Final Fantasy VII may know this game, and you may recognize here, yeah, that's Cloud Strife on the cover of this game, Air Gaze. Now, I actually played this when I was in middle school. It's because one of my best friends actually had this game, and he loved Final Fantasy. And I remember him just saying, this is a dream. And honestly, we used to play this game and be like, oh, it'd be so cool if we had, other characters in this game. And then I remember when Smash Bros. Melee came out, shortly after, we were playing Smash Bros. And he's like, oh man, I wish Cloud was in Smash Bros. And, you know, getting a little off topic here, but Cloud ended up making it in Smash Bros. And that I knew was like a dream come true for him, seeing Cloud in Smash Bros. But anyway, for a fighting game, this is actually where Cloud was first, before Smash. And it's a 2D fighter, kind of like Tekken or Street Fighter. It's got a 3D kind of environment. Honestly, this game is more than just that fighting game. There's actually like this kind of quirky action RPG game included in it, as well as some mini games. Yeah, Airgaze is a package of goodness. I tried playing the RPG. I didn't know where to go. You know, it's kind of janky. It's fun to beat up the enemies. But I didn't really spend a lot of time on that. I actually got this game for the 2-on-2 fighting. That's the best thing about it. The mini games are kind of cool, I guess. If you're a fan of Final Fantasy VII, though, you should check this game out because it features Cloud in it, like I mentioned, but also has Tifa and Sephiroth. And the thing about Sephiroth, I just found he wasn't very good. Tifa was awesome, doing like all these kicks and stuff and just taking names. But then honestly, Cloud is just busted in this game. That sword, I was just cheesing through these guys, you know. Check out some of these clips I've been showing here, and yeah, I'm just cheesing everybody. He is so broken, just you can totally overwhelm and cheap out your opponents with that sword. As long as you can get it pulled out, but yeah. It's awesome. Yeah, Airgaze. God bless the ring, Airgaze. What a weird name, right? I don't even know what that means. But I just know that Cloud's in it, Tifa and Sephiroth, and I think this is definitely a game to get for the PlayStation 1. We've only got 4 more left. I'm going to feature my favorite fighting game on the PlayStation 1 up next. And that is Darkstalkers 3. And yep, that's Morgan. My girl Morgan. So I wanted to feature Darkstalkers 3, not only because it's my favorite fighting game, because it's a really unique fighting game. Unfortunately, this game is very expensive now, so it might be a little hard to play it. But if you're a fan of games like Marvel vs. Capcom, for instance, you should check this out. You know why? Because there's actually several characters from Darkstalkers in Marvel vs. Capcom, including Morgan and BB Hood. This game plays really well. It does feel like the Marvel Superheroes games or Marvel vs. Capcom, has just traditional inputs. It really is just a standard fighting game with unique characters. It is based on the arcade game, so this is a PlayStation port, but it runs really well. I find the loading times are fairly decent as well. I like Darkstalkers. It's just a really fun, good fighter, and it's unique. You know, it's a nice change up from the Street Fighters and stuff like that. So if you like 2D fighters and you're not familiar with Darkstalkers, I definitely think that Darkstalkers 3 is a game to get if you can find it for a half decent price. Now, these last 3, all of you probably know them, but I wanted to feature them because they're just amazing games. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Who doesn't know about this? This is honestly one of the best PlayStation 1 games of all time, in my opinion. What can I say about this game? Everyone knows it's awesome, it's fun, it's unfortunately getting pretty expensive, but it's just a great game, and I had to mention it because it's definitely a game to get on the PlayStation 1. It's a 2D Metroidvania, as it's known. You can just explore around, take out enemies, get power-ups, level ups, and stuff like that. It's just a ton of fun. I really like the Richters in this game and Alucard. I think they're great characters in the Castlevania series. So it's really awesome to see them in this. The cutscenes in this game are excellent. The music, yeah, you guys know the music is amazing in this game. This game is a real treat. If you have a PlayStation 1, I really don't see why you shouldn't own this game, because Castlevania Symphony of the Night is one of the best PlayStation games of all time, and it's definitely a game you need to get. Alright, so 2 games left. The next game coming up, what is it? Well, there's a clue on the screen right now. She's been hanging around in the background of this video the whole time. Yes, I'm talking about the Misadventures of Tronbon. And this here is Tronbon, and this is Tronbon. And this is actually my official Tronbon and Servbots statue that I got quite a while ago now. It is such a unique, cool thing, and I absolutely love it. And I can tell you like how great it is to have a really awesome game like this and actually have a statue from it. This game is super obscure and rare, and this statue here, like, I never thought I'd ever have a Tronbon anything. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh man, I gotta get that. So anyway, I did a whole video on that thing. It's awesome. But back to the game here, Misadventures of Tronbon. What is this game? Well, it's expensive. And I don't mean like a couple $100. I mean like this thing's pushing $1,000 now. Wow, I didn't pay anywhere near that. I think at the time when I got this, it was $80 or $90. Yeah. And I picked this up only because I had played the Mega Man Legends 1 and 2. And I found out that this is actually a spin-off from Mega Man Legends. So I had to get it. So I picked it up. And honestly, I love this game. I like this game more than the Mega Man Legends games. There's something about using Tron and her robot and the serve bots that is just so much fun. You know, sometimes it's nice just to be the bad guy. So, Tronbon. It's a 3D adventure game. It's really just unique. The voice acting in this is awesome. I love the story. You know, I was laughing and just engaged in this the whole time. Between the gameplay and even graphically, it's not horrible. I really do think that The Misadventures of Tronbon is an excellent game. Something about this game, actually, that not a lot of people know is it's got a demo of Mega Man Legends 2 in it as well. So I feel like this game is in between that, maybe. I haven't beaten the Mega Man Legends games. I guess I should just say that up front. But they're definitely tied in there together. And I think a lot of people didn't know this was related to that series because here you can see it says, from the creators of the Mega Man Legends. So they really wanted you to know that it was a tie-in with these to help push sales. But honestly, I don't think it worked because this game did not sell well, which is really too bad because it really is an awesome PlayStation 1 game. I just love the look of it, and again, like I said, just Tronbon is such an interesting and funny character. So awesome. I wanted to feature this game because it's so great, but like I mentioned before, unfortunately this game is just so incredibly expensive and rare. So I sincerely hope, one way or another, you guys can at least play this game because it's worth it. And if you're lucky, maybe you can actually get it. So yeah, The Misadventures of Tronbon, one of my favorite PS1 games, and a game that you should definitely get for the PlayStation 1. Alright, final game. Can you guys guess what it is? If you're a long-time fan of this channel, I talk about this game a lot. This is my favorite PlayStation 1 game of all time. This game started my love for horror games. This game is so important to me in my collecting and in my life that I would be a fool not to talk about it in a Games to Get episode for PlayStation 1. And I'm talking about the legendary Silent Hill. Like I mentioned, this game really did just start my love for horror games. A long time ago, I made a video about why this game was so important to me. I'll give you the short version. Basically, I was over at a friend's house. He had this PlayStation magazine. There was a demo disc in it. And he's like, hey, you know, you want to play some games? I'm like, sure. What do you got? He's like, I don't have a lot of games. I got some demo discs. So I was flipping through a magazine and I found this demo disc. And I'm like, okay, let's pop it in. And there's actually a demo of Silent Hill. That game, in that school sequence, holy cow. I was terrified. You know, I'm coming off the Super Nintendo here. So go from Super Nintendo graphics to a PlayStation 1 horror game. It was life-changing. I never knew games could do that to me. So, yeah, I actually searched for a long time to find that same demo disc. And I actually got lucky and I was able to find it. So I actually have that demo disc now, which is super awesome. If you look really close here, you can see it shows the Silent Hill demo there. Anyway, I'm just happy I have that demo because that demo is important to my collecting and my gaming life. Anyway, let's talk about Silent Hill. It's a great game. The music, the atmosphere, all great. Controls, they're tank controls. They're not great. They definitely have aged. But I still think this game is very playable today. What really shocks me about this game is how expensive it got. You know, even when I got this copy, it was like $20, $30 game. I don't know why it got so expensive. Maybe because it's never been re-released anywhere. This is the only way to play the original, unless you get the text-only Japanese GBA one, but I won't get into that. Is this game worth playing? Absolutely. You do have to have an open mind, because it does look a little ugly in this day and age, but yeah, if you have an open mind, I definitely think Silent Hill 1 is a great game. The premise of it, well, if you don't know, I guess I'll give you the short version as well. You are Harry Mason, you lose your daughter after a car accident, and you spend the game trying to find her. I don't want to do any spoilers or anything, but it really is just a great game. That atmosphere in this game, you know, even capturing this footage, just sitting in the room doing it, it just, something about it just hits you, and they put you on edge. They just did such a great job with this game. You know, I would love a remaster of this game someday, because it's so amazing, and it is my favorite PlayStation 1 game of all time. So, the original Silent Hill, without a doubt, 100%, it is a game to get for the PlayStation 1. So, that's going to do it for this episode of Games to Get for the PlayStation 1. The PlayStation 1 has a huge library of great games. This is just a small sample of games to get for the PlayStation 1. If I had to pick a few games to go and get right after this video, I would have to say Punky Skunk, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Silent Hill, and, if you can, The Misadventures of Tronbon. I love all four of these games. They're just great games. Unfortunately, they are expensive. Punky Skunk is definitely the cheapest, but yeah, I would definitely go for these four if you have a chance. They're amazing games, and everyone should give them a try. Alright, that's going to wrap up today's video. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate it. You can follow me on social media. The information is in the description below. I want to thank everybody for watching. I am the Console Collector, and until the next video, happy gaming.